Mr. Martin Miller, General Manager, Toujours. Dear Mr. Miller, I am writing to you in praise of one of your employees, the wait person, Gil. We live, I think, in a no-frills era, when manners are passé. Everyone is in too much of a rush. There's no time to be polite. We tend to expect poor service and are forced to tolerate much rudeness. Road rage. It happens every day. Then, seemingly out of the blue, comes the exception. Your wait person, Gil. What a breath of fresh air. As my husband, Phil, has said, they don't make 'em like that guy anymore. We came to your establishment last month on a Thursday evening, having heard from friends of ours, the Randalls of Westwood, that it was an excellent place to dine. I was there with Phil, my husband, and our 3 children, Danielle, Randy, and Denise. We were promptly seated, and that is when we first encountered Gil, our wait person. He welcomed us, introduced himself, and put us at our ease. So charming. He spoke knowingly about the specials of the day. He pointed out the wine list and the children's menu. He told us to please take our time. We knew we were in very capable hands. He was pouring a glass of water for each of us when our youngest, Denise, startled and knocked his hand. A tiny bit of water spilled from a glass onto the table. A drop or 2 may have splashed on me. It was a slight accident with no great harm, and none of it his fault, but Gil's reaction clearly demonstrated his training and character. In short, he was superb. He apologized profusely, mopped up the excess water, set an entirely new service before me, gave me 2 hand towels, brought a soft drink and a happy straw for Denise, and insisted that we accept from him, free of charge, our choice of any 2 appetizers. We told him it was nothing, everything was fine, and he was blameless, but he insisted. You are our guests, he said. We selected the giant Alaskan crab legs from the raw bar and the bayou prawns sautéed in clarified garlic butter. Both were delicious. We ordered our meals, with Gil's help, I might add. He has such a knack for suggesting knowledgeably without being obtrusive. Phil, my husband, ordered the prime rib, medium rare. When it came, it really looked wonderful, thick and almost sizzling on its platter. As we were eating, I asked him how it was. He said it was perfect, lean and juicy, full of flavor. Maybe, he said, lowering his voice, it's just a tad overdone, but it's so good, I don't mind a bit. Wouldn't you know that Gil overheard him? We weren't even aware that he was nearby when suddenly there he was, sweeping Phil's plate off the table, apologizing profusely again, and assuring Phil that he would see to it that the kitchen would get it exactly right the next time. Phil tried to tell Gil that the meat was fine, but Gil wouldn't hear of it. He said he would be back in a jiffy, and good as his word, he was back in an instant with an even larger cut of rib that Phil had to admit was done to a T. It was also, he said, if anything, leaner, juicier, and more flavorful than the first serving. Maybe you should take it back and try again, he said jokingly, but do you know that Gil was ready to do just that? Phil would not let him. He put both hands on his plate and said, nobody is taking this meat away from me. What a sight! How we laughed at that. Gil demurred, but said he would take Phil's entree off the check. By the way, our meals were all mouth-watering. We ordered dessert, and for some reason, having nothing to do with Gil, our order was delayed. Not that we minded. Phil and I were drinking coffee and enjoying the ambiance of your lovely restaurant. The children were fascinated by the collections of artifacts on your wall. When Gil arrived with the dessert, it was with yet another apology for being tardy. We laughed and asked him to please not feel badly, as we were enjoying ourselves. But Gil again said, you are our guests. And he begged us not only to accept the desserts free of charge, but please allow him to put our entire meal on the house. Astounded, we told him we could not possibly accept such generosity, but Gil insisted, and we had to relent. Let me tell you, Gil can be a very persuasive young man. As we were preparing to leave, Gil had yet another, actually two, surprises for us. He refused a gratuity, stating that he asked only our forgiveness for interrupting the enjoyment of our evening. Can you imagine? And he handed Phil a $50 gift certificate to your restaurant, 2 jours, good for any lunch or dinner, bowed and excused himself. Well, we were stunned. I do mean thunderstruck. Speechless, Phil and I agreed on the spot that we had never been treated so well. We felt not like guests, but royalty. Phil wrote out a check for $25 as a tip and left it with the maitre d'. We thought it was the least we could do.